Welcome back. Junkies on 106.7 The Fan. Scheduled to join us shortly. Comedian Frank Caliendo. Of course, is a guest of us in Season 3 on Table Manners.
You know, I know we ask him the obligatory goofy table tennis question occasionally.
Let's skip that.
Well, I just have one question.
Again with the ping pong?
No, here's the question. Well, he's like a table tennis champion. He doesn't go out to bars when he travels. He goes to these table tennis clubs. Here's a question my son asked me. The real table tennis guys, what is an elite, like, table tennis racket? Like, what's wrong with the Nubs racket that you get when you buy something from Dick's?
You mean paddle?
Yeah, whatever you call it. What?
I mean, I would imagine it's the same as asking, why can't I just buy a $20 tennis racket instead of like a $400 tennis racket? The $400 one's going to be better.
Okay, but why? I understand the technology. The titanium makes it lighter, stronger. What is it about a stupid table tennis paddle?
Not
better
sure.
spin.
Better spin?
Back in my table tennis days, I liked the thin kind of nubby surface. I didn't like the real padded foam, the thick one.
I think JP had like a sandpaper one, right? Didn't you have a sandpaper paddle?
But I had a silly, too. I forget the name of the silly brand.
I'm sure it was silly.
What's the great brand?
We were
Frank.
playing in your garage. There was nothing silly on that ping pong table.
How much is an elite table tennis paddle?
First of all, I've been on the line for a couple of minutes listening to you guys. And what ignorance.
Oh, we don't know. This is your thing.
We're not in this world, Frank.
Oh, you got to join the cool guys.
I know.
Is it called a racket or a paddle?
Actually, they do call it a racket.
I was right.
You were just guessing.
You were vindicated by your stupidity.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing when it's put together is like a racket. There are weird people, I shouldn't say weird people, but there are some people that call it a bat as well. It's
a bat?
But the ping pong paddle, nobody cares. It's not like ping pong versus ping pong is we may have talked about this on the show, but ping pong is like Q-tip. It's a copyrighted, trademarked name of a company.
Didn't know that.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So table tennis again. There's different companies. There's this. There's a thing called Jula or Hula. I don't know how you pronounce it. There's.
How much are they though? Like an elite one. How much is yours?
Probably about $250.
Jesus.
Wow.
Holy Christ.
But see, each side of the rubber, the rubber does different stuff. See, the spinny rubber, when the ball hits it. God, this must be boring for some people.
It really is.
It definitely is.
It really
Frank,
is.
we can tell.
Hold on, you want me to do it as John Gruden?
No, how about Mel Kiper breaking it down?
When the ball hits the super sticky rubber, it reverses the spin and comes back at you the complete opposite way. But when you have the long pips, the long nubs, I'll tell you what, man, the ball just continues to go, not unlike Marshawn Lynch through the line of the defensive front. I'll tell you what, man, and it spins the opposite direction and comes back the opposite of what you think it would be doing, man.
By the way, Frank's going to be at Hollywood Casino in Charlestown next Friday, January 23rd. For tickets, you can go to frankcaliendo.com.
He's going to West Virginia.
I think you better go quick because there aren't that many tickets left for the show.
And here's the other thing. I don't want people to get the wrong idea. It's not a comedy show. It's a table tennis lecture.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. I want to attend
As it should be.
Frank, I got to tell you, I've loved the stuff that you've been doing on ESPN. You know, you've talked about this before about your decision to kind of go to ESPN, and you never thought there was going to be this much material.
And I'm honest about it too. My hand was pretty much forced. I mean, it's not like I just said, "Hey, I'm going to go to ESPN." Fox finally said, "You know, we're not doing anything new here," and I totally agreed with them. And they said, "Let's move now." And then I was like, "Really?"
Now what?
But you didn't
I would like to have just said goodbye. That's the only thing I would like to have done. But okay, so go ahead. So continue on how great I am.
Well, I was just saying that you've told us that you didn't realize there's going to be this much material. But I'm watching you do, you know, 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. I'm watching you do Kuiper. I'm watching you do everybody on the staff. It doesn't stop.
Yeah, it's such a circus of characters, and these are people that when you meet them, you really get to know who they are. But what the funny thing about this kind of stuff to me is that the things you complain about, like Bill Walton is my favorite one. I used to watch Bill Walton and just throw stuff in the room like, this guy drives me nuts. And then I met him, and he's like, "Oh, Frank, you have to understand. I say this stuff just to get a rise out of people, and guess what? It works."
Right.
And once you understand what the people are doing and you meet them and you're like, oh man, it's like politicians. You know, you watch a politician and then
It's their
on
shtick.
TV, yeah, you go and then you go meet them and you're like, oh, and sometimes you find out, oh, and sometimes
Right.
you find out like, oh, I get it. Like
Right.
Ron Paul was one of those guys I met, and I'm not a real political guy, but I met Ron Paul thinking I didn't know what to expect, and I was like, oh man, this guy's pretty normal, and it was interesting to me to just meet him and spend a couple minutes with him. But it's one that's. You're right. ESPN has so much, and they actually said to me I was going to do Jaws with Jaws. Ron Jaworski was totally into doing Jaws together,
Right.
which I was just, and we're going to do it. But then one of the execs at ESPN this week said, "Hey, maybe you're doing too many ESPN people right in a row. Can we switch it up a little bit?" And I thought about it, and he was totally right. So I don't want to just be the guy who does ESPN guys only. So we got. Coming up this week, there's going to be I do Rex Ryan. It's pretty good. I do Rob Ryan, which is very similar, but it looks great, almost like the dude from The Big Lebowski. I look more like.
Right.
But we do a bunch of impressions in it, and it turned out pretty well. But yeah, ESPN
Can you give us a little Rex Ryan? Like, what's the telltale thing with Rex?
Well, what I always do, because it takes me a while to say certain lines,
Right.
but I just go to the Hard Knocks thing and I go, "You guys know me. I'm about as positive a guy as there is." And it just all comes from that.
Yeah.
Well, I like just when you just do the Berman, you just kind of mumble.
Yeah, hey, that's the kind of thing that we know what's going on. It's that nobody circles the wagon like the Buffalo Bills.
And then you got to love that, you're doing Kuiper now, and he's like breaking down Marcus Mariota and Jameis Winston.
Oh, yeah, incredible ability. You should see him at a grocery store, can come home with a tremendous amount of groceries, not pay a single thing. Nice job with the crab legs.
When you did the one-on-one, the Gruden with Gruden, and you're just staring, I mean, obviously there's editing involved, but was there times where he just kind of broke down and you had to redo it, or was that all legitimate? You're just kind of staring at each other?
Yeah, it was. I mean, I told him, let's just stare at each other for a while and see what happens. And
Right.
because if it were up to me, that's how I would have done the sketch. I wouldn't have said a single word throughout the whole thing.
Right.
It would just have been a staring contest. And he's one of those guys that I don't know if he started out liking it, but the last time he brought me out to Monday Night Football, and looks like I'm going to do some stuff for the Pro Bowl too. And he's like, I talked to some guys about doing some commercials with you, man. I think this would be pretty fun.
Oh, he's all in now.
Yeah, oh yeah, totally. Because I think sometimes they think it's going to hurt their business. A lot of these guys, I don't want to say who, ridiculous, but they don't like when you do it because they think you're going to hurt their business. But then if you do the stuff with them, and it's not just me, it's people from Saturday Night Live, whatever, you do a good impression of somebody with a take, all of a sudden all these marketing people go, oh, I know how to write for this person. They have a personality.
Right.
And next thing you know, they're doing more commercials and making way more money. You might get laughed at a little, but that's being laughed at all the way to the bank. And if you go with the flow instead of taking it like, because I don't know, I look at myself and people will be like, you just do impressions, you're not funny. I'm like, so what? I don't. You know what? I don't really care. What do you? If that's the only thing you see me do, and you think I do it poorly, whatever, it's fine. But let's go to your job. It's the old comedian. I don't go to your job and fill in the blank.
Right.
But it's like, well, whatever. I don't care. And if that is all I am, and that's all that's good enough for me. I got 2 little kids. It pays for them. Good for us.
Pays
Joined
well.
by comedian Frank Caliendo. He's going to be at the Hollywood Casino Charlestown next Friday, January 23rd. Go to frankcaliendo.com for tickets. Have you run into Stephen A. Smith at ESPN?
Oh yeah, I did a Stephen A. Smith call with Stephen A. Smith, and he's another one that years and years ago. He came to me and said, Mr. Caliendo, do me a favor with all the impressions, impersonations, and mimicry you do. Don't ever ever do me.
How could you abide by that?
And then I did it. It was in an elevator. This is like 5 years ago, and it was next to an elevator in Los Angeles. I was like, "Don't worry about it. You're clear. You're able to be unconfrontational. We're going to be fine with everything." So I went right back at it. But then, I don't know if he didn't really want me to do it or not. But Jay Farrow started doing his at Saturday Night Live. And his is more of the yelling kind of Stephen A. Smith rather than mine's like the very laid back, but his is really fantastic. And then I think Stephen A. saw how that caught on and went really well there. And whenever he heard mine, he was like cool with it too.
Yeah, because now he's totally sticking it up. He's playing into it all week, right? He's doing it with the crowd, and Aaron Rodgers is and he's getting the whole crowd into it. You know what I mean?
Man.
Yeah, the bad man shtick. I mean, he's totally playing it up now.
Do you do?
Yeah, it's like he and Skip. I saw a little bit the other day. It's like he and Skip reverse roles. It's like I'm not going to say the Dallas Cowboys are awful, but they're not very good.
I love it.
Do you look at like the future, the presidential race? Because you've been, great at doing the presidents and everything. But I'm just thinking of it like, let's say the Republican field. You mentioned Ron Paul before. I guess there's Rand Paul is going to run for president. Or like, have you looked at the field?
Mitt Romney's going to get back in.
Or Jeb Bush.
Those guys are classic, not dynamic.
Christie.
Christie, maybe you could do.
A lot of times you think they're not going to be fun to do an impression of. Like that's what people said about George W. Bush at the very beginning. There's nothing to do with this guy. And then as you see the people talk more and more, there's something. Yeah, I always delve into it a little bit. I mean, I don't know. It depends on what I can find. If I can find a take, I'd at least try and find a little bit with them. For me, the cadence is the whole thing with Obama. I think I've told you that. It's the talk slow at the beginning and speed up at the end. It's that. But other than that, I don't have a huge take on him. So it's good for little quick bites, but it doesn't really do. I don't have a long bit like I could with Clinton, sexy Clinton or dumb Bush. I mean, that's it's easy to find those. When it's easy to find those characters, they don't even become the impression anymore. They just become like cartoon characters. Not as far as like Dana Carvey, but more than just I don't want to say because Daryl Hammond's the best I've ever seen at doing a spot-on impression. He doesn't usually take it to a little bit of a cartoon. I like to be in between him and Dana Carvey as far as what the range of between being on the money, because I don't think I'm that great at being on the money with some of them, and then going out and just finding Madden became, and I don't even do that way. Live shows, I'll do it, but I try not to do it on TV, although I might dust it off for a very small, quick hit in my ESPN Super Bowl bit in a few weeks. But it's, John Madden is, the real way you talk like John Madden is like this, and you think of all the things that you could do. But the John Madden that it became on TV was
Right.
Hey, you ramp it up.
All right, Frank, man, I always appreciate the time. Thanks for coming on in prime time on the Junkies Show.
Hey, I really appreciate it, guys. You did a tremendous job.
Go back to sleep. Go back to sleep.
There you go. I'm going to get some Z's.
All right. Thank you, Frank. Appreciate it, buddy.
And he'll be at the Hollywood Casino in Charlestown next Friday, January 23rd. For the few tickets left, go to frankcaliendo.com.
Coming up at 8:20, we get back into the national championship, which Ohio State won handily last night with Houston Nutt, former coach, right here on The Fan.